When urban legends haunt your city, the shocking truth I ignored at 3 a.m. clock struck 3, shattering the silence of the night. Shadows danced like demons across the walls, and the air grew thick with an unspeakable tension. It was then that Jacob found himself lost in a world of creepiness, where urban legends whispered through the cracks of his sleepy neighborhood. Those tales of the veiled woman, roaming beneath the street lights, had always felt like just stories until now that he could almost hear her footsteps echoing in the stillness. The townsfolk had warned him, "Don't venture out at night. You might just meet her." But those were just words meant to scare kids, right? As he slipped into his hoodie, the streetlight flickered ominously, casting a hellish glow that made the hairs on his neck stand up. Could that be her lurking just beyond the reach of light's salvation? In the light of day, it was easy to laugh off the eerie stories, but the night was a different beast. Jacob's pulse raced as an icy wind whispered through the trees a warning, perhaps. Just last week, Mrs. Henderson, his elderly neighbor, had been found collapsed in her garden. They said she muttered about a figure watching her. Fear twisted in his gut as he recalled the local teen missing for weeks, last seen where the park met the forest. Was this the place where legends came to life? He took a shaky breath as he stepped outside, stepping into the blanket of darkness that felt alive, surrounding him. In the distance, the faint sound of laughter echoed, but it twisted into something sinister. Jacob resisted the urge to turn back, reminding himself that he was just a kid in a neighborhood full of shadows. But as he walked deeper into the gloom, every glance over his shoulder turned from a mere reflex into a frantic search. Just then, his mind reeled back to the time he and his friends dared each other to visit the old mill. Rumors said it was haunted, that figures danced beyond the broken windows. Laughter soon turned to shrieks as one friend swore they saw a ghostly face. Tales of ghostly figures never left his mind. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the echoes of laughter faded into the darkness, Jacob stood frozen, heart pounding. Disturbing images flooded his mind. That figure with a hood, eyes glowing in the dark, could they be real? Was he about to cross into the territory of urban legends? Or was he already too late? The night hummed with mystery, every corner a potential reveal. Just as he gathered the courage to step forward, the sharp snap of a twig sent him spiraling back into fear. Who, or what, was watching him from the shadows? The silence after the snapping twig was deafening. Every nerve in Jacob's body fired up, electrified by fear. He turned slowly, every muscle tensed as he strained to see what lay beyond the light. It was just darkness, thick and oppressive, but the air felt alive, charged with something sinister. Just the wind. Just the wind, he whispered to himself, though even he didn't believe it. He took a step back, then another, his feet moving on instinct, urging him to retreat homeward. But a bone-deep urge to uncover the truth pulled him forward. Jacob shook his head, trying to chase away the creeping dread that slithered along his spine. Suddenly, a chill ran through the air, causing him to pause. It wasn't just cold. It was the kind of chill that wrapped around your insides, squeezing tight. Heart racing, he set his sights on the park. What if someone or something was waiting for him there, appealing to the darkest parts of his very imagination? He paused, gathering courage, pushing forward despite the rising panic. The path to the park felt narrowed, almost suffocating, trees looming like sentinels, their branches reaching out like fingers. With each step, the laughter he heard before twisted in his mind, warping into an unsettling cacophony that in the distance. Headlights cut through the darkness, an oncoming car winding its way around the road. Jacob took a chance. He stepped back into the trees, letting the shadows swallow him whole. With his heart thumping loudly in his chest, he crouched low, peering through the branches. The vehicle passed, revealing a figure down by the park entrance. The light from the passing car flickered over the figure, a woman in a long, flowing dress, her face hidden by a veil. Jacob's breath caught in his throat. Could it be? No, it couldn't be. He recalled the whispers of the townsfolk, the chilling stories of the veiled woman. Just an urban myth, right? But myth or not, you don't take chances with the dark. The figure turned ever so slightly. It felt as though she could see him. Panic surged, raw and powerful. He backed away slowly from the torturous sight, his instincts screaming for him to flee. What had Mrs. Henderson seen? What had that missing teen felt? Was this the moment they realized they were too deep in, too late to escape? As if sensing his fear, the woman turned, her veil fluttering in the night breeze, revealing nothing but the penetrating darkness behind it. A haunted silhouette against the backdrop of the moonlit night. The laughter intensified, an echoing chorus that seemed to surround him, taunting, teasing. Jacob's legs screamed for him to run. He felt like prey, but he stayed still, paralyzed between the urge to confront the figure and the primal instinct to escape. "Who are you?" he called, his voice cracking, barely taking flight into the night. The laughter halted, replaced by an oppressive quiet. Every breath felt heavy with anticipation, as if the world held its breath. And then, as Jacob braced himself for the unthinkable, the veiled woman took a step forward, her intention masked in mystery. He could see the outlines of skeletal branches parting like skulls around her shape. "Help me," her voice slithered through the darkness, a whisper that felt both desperate and haunting. What did she need? Questions began spinning in Jacob's mind. Should he help her? What if he was the next rumor, the next name lost to the dark tales of the town? Just then, behind him, a flicker of movement in the underbrush caught his eye, a pair of glowing eyes, watching, waiting. Who or what was lurking in the shadows? Jacob turned, face pale, heart pounding, realizing he might have uncovered something darker than any legend, and all he had to do was decide. Confront the unknown or bolt into the night. But would he be able to escape all the demons that existed in his mind and the real ones that awaited? Jacob's breath quickened. The glow from those eyes was a haunting reminder of the stories he had heard, the warnings that echoed from lips trembling with fear. Who was out there? And why did it feel like he was being watched? He could hear his pulse thudding in his ears, drowning out the evening chorus of crickets and rustling leaves. Swallowing hard, he turned back to the veiled woman. There she stood, still and silent, her shadow twisting like smoke against the muted moonlight. "Help me," she repeated, the words now laced with an urgency that felt like a cold finger tracing down his spine. The glow of those eyes flickered again, like a candle struggling against the wind. Should he run? Every instinct screamed for him to retreat, to flee deeper into the shelter of the forest. But some morbid curiosity, clung tightly to his feet. Jacob took a hesitant step closer, eyes darting back and forth between the woman and the threat lurking behind him. His throat was dry, heart hammering wildly, each beat whispering the warnings of the townsfolk. "Stay away. Don't engage. Don't look back. What do you want?" He managed to stammer, the words tasting bitter on his tongue. The veiled woman shifted slightly, her hands emerging from the fabric of her dress, pale and thin. Her movements were graceful, yet unnerving. "I need you to help me find him," she pleaded, her voice cracking like ice breaking under pressure. "He.s. lost. Just like me." The darkness. A twig snapped sharply behind him, interrupting her haunting plea. Jacob jerked around, eyes wide, searching the darkness for the source of the sound. The glowing eyes were closer now, practically glowing against the blackness. They seethed with a hunger he had never known. "What are you waiting for?" The veiled woman's voice rose above the panic swelling in his chest. "You have to act now." Just as he turned back to face her, the light around her flickered, a fleeting glimpse between shadows, illuminating her features for one brief heartbeat. The hollowness of her eyes sent a jolt through him. She was not just a specter of the stories. She was the echo of tragedy. But suddenly, another sound broke the tense atmosphere. A low growl, deep and throaty, emerged from the underbrush not far away. Jacob's heart dropped. Whatever lurked out there was no myth. It was real, and it was hungry. "I can help you," he yelled, feeling the desperation clawing at his throat. "But I need to know, who are you?" The shadows shifted again, swirls coiling around the veiled woman as she stepped toward him, urgency etched into her expression. "You already know," she whispered, her breath a choked sob. I'm the girl you never found. A chill flooded his body, and reality became even grimmer. The tendrils of the past gnawed at his gut, a missing person flyer, forgotten in the tide of life, blending into the narrative of their shared town. But the growling intensified, rumbling through the very ground beneath his feet. The eyes in the dark grew fiercer, closing the distance between him and what awaited. Jacob. The woman held out her hand, desperation lacing her voice. They're coming for you. Choose now, join me in the search, or run and never look back. As the decision hung in the air, the oppressive weight of impending darkness shifted. Should he trust the spirit of a lost girl, or heed the danger closing in? Just then, a flash of fur and fangs broke from the shadows, and in that terrifying moment, time seemed to freeze. What decision would Jacob make? And would he be ready for the consequences that could change everything? Jacob's heart raced as the creature leaped from the underbrush. It was massive muscles rippling beneath matted fur, jaws wide, showing teeth the size of Jacob's fingers. The glowing eyes bore into him, flickering like dying embers. He felt the crunch of cold leaves underfoot, the thrill of fear bringing him to the edge of decision. Run! The veiled woman's voice sliced through the tension, sharp and pleading. But was there safety in flight? In that instant, instinct took hold. Jacob dove towards her, grasping her cold hand. He could hardly believe that he was reaching for a ghost, a glimpse of someone he didn't even know he had lost. I'll help you. The words spilled out, a prayer against the darkness. The creature lunged, snapping at the air where Jacob had just been, barely missing him as he and the woman turned to flee deeper into the woods. The underbrush scraped against his arms, twigs slashing at his skin as they ran, fear propelling them. He didn't know what direction they were heading, the shadows twisting the forest into a labyrinth, but the warmth of her hand in his ignited a flicker of determination. Where do we go? He gasped, breathless. Follow my voice, she urged, guiding him with her ethereal presence. The growl of the beast echoed behind them, a chilling reminder that the darkness wasn't so easily outrun. Adrenaline surged through him, and for the first time, he felt a connection with her that transcended the realms of the living and the lost. Each gasp whispered the stories of her fate, and he had to know who was this girl he had never truly known, yet felt so drawn to. Why can't you find him on your own? Jacob asked, the desperate rhythm of his pulse harmonizing with the darkness. He's trapped, she replied, her voice trembling. The same force that took me holds him still. I can lead you, but I need your heart to break the link, if you want to see him. Break the link? How? Panic gnawed at him, but so did the resolve to understand. Only by facing the darkness together can we free him. You're feared for ignoring the stories. Now it's time to confront them, she stated, the threads of her words weaving through the forest like smoke. Before he could answer, a crashing noise erupted behind them. The creature was on their trail, determination dripping from its snarling maw. Jacob felt the urgency in the air thickening around them like fog, a breath away from suffocating him. Sweat dripped from his brow, soaking into the fabric of his shirt. Tell me where to find him, he shouted, his voice almost swallowed by the cacophony of the restless woods. We need to reach the old well. The veiled woman surged ahead, her escape rooted in instinct. It's where I last saw him. Panic and confusion twisted into a coiled knot in his stomach, but he trusted her. The well? The stories about that cursed spot skipped through his mind, whispers of madness, of disappearance, of tears shed under accursed moonlight. Just then, a low growl broke the tree line, puncturing the heavy silence around them. Jacob's heart sank. The creature was close. Hurry, he urged, desperate urgency fueling his steps as he tore through the increasingly darkened forest. The veiled woman led him through the tangled underbrush. Branches clawed at them as they sprinted. A beam of pale moonlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating a glimmer of hope ahead. Was it the well? Finally, they broke into a clearing, and there it was, the ancient well looming like a sentinel of despair. Dark stone crumbled at the edges, ivy creeping over its surface as if trying to escape its grasp, but there was no time to pause. The snarling beast was only moments behind, pushing through the densely packed trees. Jacob turned to face the veiled woman, their breaths mingling in the stifling air. What do we do next? Her eyes held a depth of pain, a darkness woven into her very being. You'll face the truth, she said, voice trembling. Or lose everything, again. And as he stepped toward the gaping maw of the well, his own dread began to coalesce into something sharper. The echoes of their past converged, ready to push them into the abyss of lost souls. What awaited him within? Could they navigate the darkness together? Or was this the moment everything would be lost? The growl reverberated, a chilling reminder that time was slipping away. Jacob braced himself, ready for a revelation that would either shatter or salvage the fabric of their lives. Jacob felt the chill of the air seep into his bones as he stood on the edge of the well, that unyielding darkness yawning before him. The veiled woman's grip tightened around his hand, her cold fingers a stark contrast against his racing heart. The growl of the creature echoed closer, vibrating through the trees and sending a fresh wave of panic swelling in his chest. What happens now? Jacob asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He stared into the abyss, feeling like it was staring right back at him, daring him to plunge in. She took a deep breath, her gaze never wavering from his. You must let go of what you fear, Jacob. Face him, and you'll break the hold they have on us on him. The urgency of her words struck deep. He could almost feel the weight of the trapped soul pressing against him, his brother's spirit caught somewhere within this ancient curse. Fear twisted in his stomach like a coiling serpent. What do I need to face? I don't even know what's down there. Your truth, she replied, her eyes glistening like the moon above. The stories you've turned away from. They will guide you if you let them. With that, the last flicker of moonlight dimmed, and the growl of the beast erupted into a furious roar. Jacob spun toward the noise, heart hammering against his ribs. The creature burst into the clearing, eyes glimmering with raw hunger and malice. Those jaws opened wider, revealing fangs that glistened ominously like shards of ice. Now, Jacob, the veiled woman urged, panic laced with determination. You have to confront it. Torn between the instinct to flee and the instinct to fight, Jacob swallowed hard. The well loomed behind him, a dark sanctuary. There was no turning back now, not with the shadows reaching for him and the beast prowling forward. Taking a deep breath, he stepped closer to the well. He could feel the air thickening, laden with memories he had buried, stories untold. Names, faces, and whispers tugged at his mind. He thought of the laughter of his brother, the arguments they'd had, the way he had turned a blind eye to the danger lurking in their town as folklore. The tales of the well, a sudden burst of dread consumed him. No, stay away from him, Jacob shouted, his voice a raw reflection of the fear that swirled within. Then he turned to the well and yelled, I'm here. I'm ready. If you want him, face me. For a moment, silence blanketed the forest. The creature halted, its snarl subsiding into a low rumble. Confusion etched across the powerful lines of its face. Jacob felt the gravity of the moment hang heavy, pulling at the edges of his resolve that in that stillness, he reached into the well's depths with every ounce of his spirit. What he found was a collection of half-forgotten memories. The first time his brother had taught him to ride a bike, the day they had swum in the lake and dared each other to jump off the highest rock. It was joy intertwined with guilt, laughter mixed with the absence. Suddenly, a bright light flared from the well, illuminating the surrounding woods like lightning. The creature recoiled, its form shifting, becoming less tangible, more ghostly. Jacob felt the pulse of his heartbeat synchronize with the glow, the realization washing over him. The stories didn't just bind them to fear. They tied them to each other. Let him go, Jacob yelled, channeling his fury into one sharp command. He stepped further to the well, the light growing brighter, an extension of his will. The roar of the beast erupted again, but now it bore a sound of agony. Jacob glanced back at the veiled woman, whose face reflected both fear and hope. This was deeper than just survival. This was a battle for his brother and his own redemption. The glow intensified, swirling with fragments of his brother's laughter and the tales of the town he had underestimated for too long. Jacob sensed the creature faltering, wavering on the edge of its own terror. What are you doing? The veiled woman shouted, horror mixing into her tone. I'm beginning to understand. Jacob cried. I have to face it all. Before he could catch his breath, the darkness inside the well beckoned him with new force, as fresh memories surged to meet him in the chaos. The creature howled again, but this time it sounded oddly human. What is this? Jacob whispered, confusion flooding him. And before he could grasp what was happening, the light erupted, engulfing both him and the veiled woman in a whirlwind of reality and memory, drawing them down, down, down into the unknown depths. What awaited them in that swirling abyss where fear and truth blended? Would it lead to liberation or despair? As the last remnants of the forest vanished behind them, Jacob held tight to the thought that he was no longer alone, but his heart still trembled at the approaching revelation. Jacob and the veiled woman tumbled through a kaleidoscope of shadows and light, their surroundings swirling like storm clouds in a tempest. A deep rumble echoed around them, a sound like thunder but tinted with unearthly growls that pierced through his thoughts. The cold tugging at their bodies intensified, squeezing tighter, dragging them further into the chasm of lost memories. "Jacob," she called, her voice trembling as they spiraled deeper. "We have to hold on to what matters. Remember your truth." His truth. Jacob's mind raced. Thoughts flickered beneath the surface. Childhood fears, exciting escapes with his brother, their mother's stern warnings about the old tales. The pit in his stomach churned with a painful mix of hope and dread. Then suddenly, the chaos ceased. They landed, not with a thud, but as softly as if they had stepped into a whispering glade. Jacob blinked against a soft glow, finding himself in a vast space filled with light, hauntingly beautiful, yet echoing with the past. "Where are we?" he asked, scanning the strange landscape. Everything shimmered with a silvery sheen, like moonlight reflecting off water. The air felt thick with nostalgia, intertwining emotion and memory. The veiled woman stepped forward, her gaze analyzing the shifting light. "It's the realm of forgotten tales. The stories linger here, waiting for their truth to be acknowledged." As the words left her lips, shapes began to form around them, half-formed figures caught in a dance of despair and resolve. Faces flickered into view, each one a moment from Jacob's life. A frowning teacher warning them about the well, his brother's carefree smile during happy summers at the lake, his mother with arms crossed, a stern look warning him against the forbidden. "No, no, no," Jacob croaked. "Not here." The weight of their lost time pressed against him, leaving him breathless. He stumbled back, continuously glancing around for a way out. "Face them," the veiled woman urged, her voice echoing gently. "Your truth lies intertwined with their pain." Desperation surged in Jacob's chest. What does that even mean? What do they want from me? Panic threatened to drown his reasoning. "They seek recognition," she stated with fervor. "You must confront them. Those you ignored, those you left behind." With trembling hands, he stepped forward. "I can't," he began, but the words felt hollow. Memories rippled around him, breathing with their own life, forming a chorus of whispers like swirling winds. Suddenly, one figure stepped forward, a younger version of his brother, eyes bright with laughter. "Why didn't you listen, Jacob?" the boy murmured, a specter of innocence entwined with regret. "You've always known what was down there. Leave me alone," Jacob shouted, but the voice from the past echoed in him, grappling with his defenses. He had pushed their stories aside, cast them away as nothing but fables. They were woven with truths he was unwilling to face. "Help us," his brother's spirit pleaded, a cry threading through the suffocating air of memories. "We need you to remember." The ground quaked beneath Jacob, splitting open, revealing a swirling vortex like the well above, but deeper and darker. Panic screamed in his mind, but alongside it, something else awakened, a light of realization swirling within him. The creature he had faced, the one whose roar chilled his blood, began to materialize again, but now beside his brother's spirit, a terrifying and beautiful fusion of their fears and the pain Jacob had buried. "Don't you see?" the veiled woman rasped, urgent and fierce. "You're not just fighting for yourself. You're here for all of them, for your brother." The roar of the beast thundered back into being, sending vibrations through the air. It loomed ahead, a haunting silhouette, eyes swirling like black holes and teeth like restless souls trapped in anguish. Jacob's heart raced, realizing that to save his brother and himself, he had to embrace this horror. But as he moved toward it, shadows clawed at him, reminiscent of his fears. The memories fought him, desperate to drag him back into silence. "Come on, Jacob." Driven by a newfound determination, he roared back, "I won't forget you. No more hiding." The ground trembled, and the shadows flickered. Would he muster the courage to face the creature forged from his own neglect? Jacob took a step toward the beast, heart pounding, pulses of dread pulsating through him. The moment was at stake, teetering on the brink of revelation. Would he stand against the amalgamation of his fears, or would he allow it to swallow him whole? And then, in the cacophony of cries and heaviness of his memories, a haunting question rose from the depths. If darkness was forged from his truths, could light emerge from the abyss of his past? With all the fibers of his being ready for confrontation, Jacob charged forward, the echo of his past trailing behind the abyss awaited. What surprises lay in the shadows of his truth, waiting to be uncovered? Jacob's heart pounded as he launched himself toward the menacing creature, a maelstrom of fear and resolve twisting inside him. The very air crackled with energy, charged with the weight of the memories he had long tried to bury. The shadowy figure before him swirled and distorted, shifting between the harrowing faces of his past. It was as if he was standing in a theater, with his fears and missteps casting themselves in a nightmarish play. "Face it," he shouted, his voice trembling but determined. The beast reared up, formulating a shape that looked eerily like his brother, mixed with the terror that had been clawing at Jacob's very soul. "This isn't real. You can't hurt me." But deep within, he felt the tremors of doubt. The creature lunged at him, its breath a toxic mix of despair and longing. Jacob staggered back, but he couldn't retreat now. He had put things off for too long. This was the moment to confront everything he had been running from. The veiled woman watched, her presence steady as Jacob faced the creature. "You must embrace all parts of yourself," she urged, her voice cutting through the swirling chaos. "Only then can you release the pain holding you captive." A sudden rush of memories flooded his mind, colliding with the present. Moments of joy, laughter, and love surged like waves against the shoreline of his consciousness. His brother's voice echoed, tender yet sharp. "We shared everything once, Jacob. Don't shut me out." "Stop!" Jacob roared, pain welling in his chest. "Stop pretending to be him. You are just a shadow of the past." With each word, he thrust aside layers of fear, refusing to let the past consume him once more. Finally, Jacob realized the creature wasn't separate from him. It was exactly who he was, a product of every action, every choice left unmade. The beast faltered, pausing as if Jacob's words were piercing through its dark exterior. Taking a deep breath, he recalled the memories that brought him solace, the laughter shared, the dreams exchanged beneath the night sky, and the hardships that had woven them together. "I won't give you power over me anymore." With every ounce of his will, he surged forward, fists clenched, pushing against the darkness of that looming entity. For so long, he had been haunted by the stories he chose to ignore. Time to rewrite the narrative. Time to redeem the pain. Suddenly, an explosion of light erupted from Jacob's core. It surged outwards, illuminating the hollow spaces once filled with shadows. The beast screeched, shattering as it struggled against the brightness, twisting, writhing, until it fragmented into countless shards that rained down around him, each one glimmering with a memory, each piece, once filled with sorrow, now glinting with the potential for healing. Breath caught in his throat. He watched as the shards began to rise, swirling like fireflies in a darkened wood. Each one whispered tales of his journey, relationships fractured yet resilient, hopes rekindled, and promises not forgotten. The ground beneath him shimmered, transforming from a chasm of despair to a beautiful tapestry of his past, present, and future intertwined. Jacob stumbled backward, overwhelmed. Could it be? As he looked closer, he saw the faces reassembling, emerging not with pain, but with understanding. They smiled, as if showing him the way forward. Then, a chill swept through the air, an ominous echo of darkness began to encroach again, eclipsing the light he had summoned. Dread pooled in his stomach. "What now?" he shouted, the fear clawing at his resolve. The veiled woman stepped closer, urgency tightening her features. "Jacob, your journey isn't finished. The shadows regroup. They'll seek vengeance for your defiance. You must rally the memories you've embraced. They are your shield." Heart racing with newfound purpose, Jacob felt an electric pulse flare in his veins. This newfound alliance with his past was his strength, but would it be enough to thwart the reminder of what he had lost? As the darkness settled, looming heavily in a gathering storm, Jacob's courage flickered. Would he be able to wield the fragmented pieces of his past against the shadowy retribution drawing near? In that moment, before him, the shadows began to swirl and thicken. Chaos surged around them, threatening to engulf him once more. Was he ready for the storm? And what awaited on the other side of his confrontation with what still haunted him? Jacob stood firm, heart thundering in his ears as the shadows coalesced into a thick fog that surrounded him. The air turned heavy, charged with anticipation, almost as if the darkness itself was alive, breathing around him. Each breath filled with dread choked him, and he fought the sensation, pushing forward. "Where are you?" he shouted into the murk, his voice echoing against the stillness. Silence clung to him, thick and suffocating, but his spirit refused to yield. Memories danced within him, every shard of light reminding him of the love and laughter that shaped him. Yet the undercurrent of fear pulsed violently. Suddenly, a low, guttural growl slithered through the darkness. The sound sent shivers racing down Jacob's spine. It came from everywhere and nowhere, an unseen menace that made his skin crawl. From the shadows, shapes began to form menacing silhouettes branching toward him, casting claws of shadow that seemed to stretch into eternity. These were not new fears, but old ones, faces of those he had lost, memories twisted by grief. "Face your fears." The veiled woman's voice came as a whisper, urgent and sharp, slicing through the gloom that he could feel her presence anchoring him. Jacob clenched his fists, focusing on the warmth of the light still flickering within him, the joys and connections woven into the fabric of his soul. They were his strength now, surely stronger than the threatening night. The shadowy figures lunged forth, merging into one massive form that towered before him, a grotesque monstrosity made from his lifeless memories. Jacob fought the urge to recoil. "You're not real," he screamed, surprising even himself with the fury behind his words. "Turn your back on us, and you'll be lost." The creature snarled, the bass of its voice rampaging through him. Each word struck brass against steel, resonating deep in his heart, igniting panic. But instead of retreating, Jacob stepped closer. "I won't let you replay our pain." In that moment, he grasped the fragile threads of his memories tightly, and like a soldier arming himself for battle, he let them weave into a protective shield around him. A sudden rush of clarity surged through him, a vivid recollection of his brother's laughter, the warmth of shared stories around the fire on cold nights, and the dreams whispered under starlit skies. "Stand down," Jacob called, his voice rising above the chaos, empowered by the light of remembrance. As if in response, the ground beneath began to shake. A cacophony of wails erupted from the shadows, filling Jacob with an unsettling ache. Then, abruptly, the shadows peeled back, revealing glimpses of memories, long-buried moments that haunted him but also offered clarity. Each light whispered to him now, saying, "You are more than your fears." He raised his arms as the radiant light wrapped around him like a cocoon. The shadow creature screeched, struggling against the brightness, its form distorting and flickering. Jacob could feel the warmth of the fragmented memories linking together, strengthening the barrier between him and the darkness. But just as it seemed he might gain the upper hand, the creature shot out of reach, dark tendrils snapping back like vipers, flooding the space with an overpowering sense of despair. "You can't escape what's inside you," it howled. Sweat dripped down Jacob's brow, and the fragile confidence teetered on the brink of collapse. "Choose acceptance or be swallowed whole." The veiled woman's warning echoed, urging him to embrace what he once rejected. In that harrowing instant, he realized his resolve could either prove his salvation or be the crux of his undoing. The storm of shadows began to close in again, venomous whispers swirling, heavy with the power to drown him. Could he hold fast against the shadow's pull? Or would this encounter reveal a truth darker than anything he had confronted before? Every fiber of his being screamed that the time had come to choose. What awaited him in the heart of darkness? The shadows lunged at Jacob, snapping like hungry jaws, and he could feel their biting chill brushing against his skin. Heart racing, he staggered back, holding his ground against the engulfing darkness. "You don't control me," he shouted, voice shaking but fierce. Each word felt like a sword, piercing through the swirling malevolence. But the creature roared back, a sound that dripped with a heavy sadness, laced with the despair of all those lost. You are nothing without your memories. Every joy you cling to becomes my weapon. It loomed larger, disfigured features twisting into a grotesque smile, showing rows of jagged teeth. Glinting with malice, Jacob's resolve wavered. Was it true? Could his very joys turn against him? The realization clawed at him. He dove into the radiant fog of his memories, clinging to them as an anchor. His mother's laughter echoed in his mind, the way her eyes sparkled with love. His brother's strength had always been his shield. I'll remember, he whispered, feeling the warmth pulse through him. The creature recoiled as if struck. You can't hide in your memories forever. Then I will forge new ones. Jacob spat, squeezing his eyes shut. In that moment, something profound shifted within him. He envisioned his brother, not as a ghostly reminder of grief, but a guiding force. Together, we fight, he shouted inwardly, feeling a rush of courage wash over him. The radiant light surged through him like wildfire, revitalizing his spirit. The shadows recoiled as if seared, the atmosphere thickening as if the fog itself were alive, quaking before his newfound strength. Let go, screamed the veiled woman's voice, spilling through the fear-laden air like a lighthouse cutting through the darkest night. Embrace what he taught you. With eyes still tightly shut, Jacob remembered the stories about courage and resilience they had shared. He could feel his body rising, light flooding his senses. The darkness that had once engulfed him flickered and began to dissolve into tendrils of smoke, revealing glimpses of other memories, those of laughter, barbecues, and family gatherings woven with love. The creature writhed, its form dimming, but its voice thrummed deeper in the chaos. This will not end well for you. Why do you care? Jacob shot back, anger spilling from the well of vulnerability. You're just a shadow. No, it screamed, fissures of pain and rage breaking through its grotesque facade. I am your past, and I will reclaim you. Then come at me. Jacob roared, heart pounding, every nerve pulsing with defiance. He thrust his hands forward, the luminescent barrier of light expanding outward, chasing away the darkness with fierce determination. A crack echoed through the void, and then another, as if the very essence of fear were shattering all around him. The creature convulsed, its form morphing, dissolving back into the merging shadows that had birthed it. Jacob's breath tangled in his throat, the weight of uncertainty pressing down, but amid the chaos, the warmth of acceptance blossomed within him. Yet the darkness wasn't done. Before he could fully embrace his triumph, a whisper filtered through the fog, chilling him to the bone. You think you've won? The shadows surged back, regrouping, swift as lightning, swirling and coiling around him. Jacob's triumph hung tenuously in the balance, a flickering flame facing an unyielding wind. Face this truth, Jacob. The darkness will always return, the shadows hissed, engulfing him once more in their cold embrace. As the blinding light shimmered and dimmed, he felt the pull of shadows invade his very being, clawing at his resolve. What was he truly fighting? And could he ever escape the grasp of his own past? With questions echoing in the depths of his soul, Jacob braced himself for the storms ahead. What awaited him now that he had stepped deeper into the embrace of his own shadows? Jacob felt the darkness press around him like a suffocating cloak, tendrils of nightmares clawing at his senses. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the memories he had summoned. They pulsed within him, warm and vital. As he pushed against the swirling gloom, the shadows slithered around him, threatening to drag him back into despair. Fight, urged the veiled woman, her voice echoing through the tumult. He could sense her presence, a beacon in the gloom, urging him forward. You've started to awaken your truth. Now keep going. A surge of determination tightened his grip on those memories, his brother's laughter, family gatherings filled with warmth, and the adventures that dotted his childhood. Each fragment became fuel, igniting his passion to confront what lurked in the darkness. Get away from me, Jacob shouted, his voice breaking through the silence. The shadowy figures screeched in response, a chorus of torment rising as they receded temporarily from the force of his resilience. You are nothing but the fear I refuse to carry. You won't control me. The atmosphere shifted, crackling with energy as the creatures rose once more, their forms twisting grotesquely in anger. Clenching his fists, Jacob felt the light within him flare brighter, and he pushed it outward. "You are trapped by your own echoes," he shouted, channeling everything he felt into a single burst of strength. Suddenly, the ground beneath him vibrated, the shadows beginning to fracture like glass. Jacob pressed on, focusing on the warmth of acceptance he had nurtured, the love that once filled their home. "These shadows are my past," he declared, "but they will not dictate my future." With each utterance, the shadows writhed and flickered, exposing flashes of their truth: laughter, tears, moments of triumph, and despair alike. Jacob embraced every emotion, weaving them in a tapestry of whom he had been and who he wanted to be. "I'll carry you with me, but I will no longer let you weigh me down." The shadows convulsed violently, ripping and tearing against his fierce determination. But in that moment, something shifted. The darkness began to shatter, and Jacob charged forward, stepping into the core of the beast that had manifested from his neglect. He felt it press against him, slicing through his heart as it once had, but now this was different. The weight of it transformed. Instead of fear driving him back, he found himself stepping in, merging with the shadows that formed around him. He felt the creature's pain flowing into him. The loss, the longing, the isolation. "I see you," Jacob cried out, not backing down, not shying away from the echoes of grief. As he faced the creature with every ounce of courage he could muster, he whispered, "You are part of me, but you will not define me." Suddenly, the radiant light erupted from within, washing over every crevice of darkness like dawn breaking through a chill night. The creature wailed, an agonizing cry that reverberated through the ether. The shadows shattered into bits of dust, scattering into the air as Jacob reached forward, feeling the warmth of his brother's presence. Together, Jacob gasped, drawing upon the strength of their bond. The air hummed with energy, and he could feel the remnants of his brother intertwining with his spirit. The shadows collapsed before their combined force, fluttering away like falling leaves in the wind. Jacob stumbled back, breathless, as the last of the darkness evaporated. In its place stood his brother, his essence nothing like the horror that had haunted Jacob. There was light in his eyes, a warmth that seeped through Jacob's core. "You did it, Jacob," he whispered, voice echoing like music. "You faced the truth. You saw me. Now we can go home." As the world around them shifted, Jacob felt a deep sense of relief wash over him. "I'm so sorry for not finding you sooner," he said, tears brimming in his eyes. "I shouldn't have let the fear of the stories take me away from what really matters." His brother smiled serenely, merging with the light that enveloped them both. "You've learned, Jacob. The stories, the fears, they're part of us, but they also teach us to love harder, to live deeper. You broke the cycle. We are free now, brother." In that moment, Jacob understood. He had embraced his past, facing all it entailed. He had freed not just his brother's spirit, but also his own. The brightness expanded, illuminating the path forward. The veiled woman nodded, her solemn expression transforming into one of peace. "You have done it. Now you can choose to carry these truths as guides, rather than chains." Jacob stepped forward, ready to embrace his journey. He felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. The shadow of fear had not vanished entirely, but it no longer dominated him. He had faced the darkness and emerged with the light. Turning back to his brother one last time, Jacob whispered, "I'll keep weaving our memories, making new ones on the canvas of life." And with that promise, he stepped into the brightness, ready to face anything ahead. Let this be a reminder, dear friends. You need to subscribe now to keep up with this journey and more incredible stories just waiting for you to discover. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Jacob's journey. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Your support means the world.